Toronto, 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 however you want to call it. Although if you say Toronto, we will know you're not from here. Welcome to Toronto, the capital of the province of Ontario and one of the major cities in Canada. Toronto is one of the world's most culturally diverse cities, and each of its neighborhoods have their own distinct identities reflecting this diversity. Most guides to Toronto will tell you where to eat and what to see. I'm going to show you how the city is organized, how it actually works, why it looks the way it does, and what that means for anyone trying to understand it. The city is a collection of distinct economic ecosystems, and I'll try to assign each one a personality along the way. By the way, I'm not a Toronto native. I've only been living here for a few years, so if I do get some of the information mixed up, please let me know in the comment section below. Thank you. Yeah, that's the national anthem of the city. But let's start off today at one of the calmer sections of the city. Harbourfront is the tourism and leisure economy of Toronto. It is Toronto's publicly managed waterfront infrastructure that is sitting on some of the most valuable land in the country. This area was a former industrial port land that was transformed into a public waterfront. The neighborhood runs along the shores of Lake Ontario from Battle Street in the west, along Queen's Quay up onto Yonge Street. The area is home to the Harbourfront Centre, which is a cultural campus that hosts year-round festivals and markets. It's also home to Toronto Music Garden, which hosts different outdoor concerts in the summer. The Power Plant Museum is also here, the Jack Layton Ferry Terminal, where ferries to Toronto Islands leave from, and the Billy Bishop Airport is to the west of the Harbourfront. You typically find a high concentration of tourists and even locals sitting to enjoy the view or walking or biking along the trail. This is perfect for like the scenic escaper, someone that just wants some nice ambience. A short walk from the Toronto Music Garden towards Front Street and down on Remnant Boulevard will bring us towards the downtown core. This neighborhood is the financial and civic engine of the city. So think Bay Street, the Park System, Union Station, City Hall, and the Sports Stadium. The personality here is more of a corporate hustler working in finance or law or consulting or tech. So it's home to the city's top corporate headquarters, banks, and firms. You also find some nice restaurants for lunch and happy hour. All of them are packed neatly into the glass skyscraper buildings. Bay Street is Canada's financial industry, and it's similar to Wall Street in New York. Underneath most of the downtown core is actually an underground city called the Pat, which is a separate system in itself. It is the world's largest underground shopping complex with pedestrian tunnels that are connecting dozens of buildings, hotels, subway stations, and even several of the landmark stadiums. There are also endless retail boutique stores there. The Pat especially becomes very important during winter for those that don't want to walk on street level. This is Rogers Centre, or the Skydome. The name you call it depends on your age bracket. And I'm sure every Blue Jays fan probably spends more than half their time in Toronto here. Right next to the Skydome is the entrance to the CN Tower and Ripley's Aquarium. Moving further east on Front Street, and we'll approach the core and center of the city. The key landmark in this area is Union Station, which is located on Front Street West between Bay and York Street. Union Station is Toronto's main transportation hub. The station handles hundreds of thousands of passengers daily. Just watch this. Union Station also houses the city subway system, the TTC. It houses the regional train, the GO train, the intercity train service, Via Rail, the trams, aka the streetcars, intercity buses, as well as the Union Pearson Express that provides train service to Toronto Pearson International Airport. But it functions more than a transportation hub with numerous stores, cafes, restaurants, bookstores, and the transportation system all within this single building. Right opposite of Union Station is one of the most historic hotels in Canada, the Fairmont Royal York. In terms of the economics, the downtown core is more of the financial and business district of Toronto. Further east on Front Street, and we would approach Old Town Toronto. Now, it's very easy to tell that you're in the heart of Old Town once you start seeing the red brick buildings. Old Town is where the city got its municipal start as the village of York in 1793. It's made up of St. Lawrence Market and the Distillery District. Both of them are two heritage stories with different economic endings. The kind of person that would enjoy this place is the history nerd that loves heritage buildings and local politics and knows the history of every street. Located on Front Street East and Jarvis Street, St. Lawrence Market has been a functioning public market since 1803. Today, it houses a bustling food market where you can shop local and imported foods. St. Lawrence Market was first established in the early 19th century, arising from a proclamation that established a designated area for a public market in 1803 near King Street and New Street, later renamed to Jarvis Street. The first buildings erected for the market emerged in 1814, with the first permanent structure built in 1820. And listen, no visit to Toronto is complete without a stop at St. Lawrence Market. You'll find some of the city's best food here. There are cafes, there are grocery stores, there's a meat market, there's fish market, there's souvenir shops, you name it. It's really a one-stop shop for anything you need. I mean, where else would you casually find caviar being sold right next to Canadian maple syrup? The main market is to the south, and right opposite to the north of the South Market is the recently renovated North Market that hosts a farmers market and an antique market. Heading further east from St. Lawrence Market, and my next stop is to another historic part of the city, the Distillery District. The Distillery District took a derelict distillery and turned it into a pedestrian-only boutique village, which is a very conscious heritage monetization strategy that worked commercially. But it has still raised questions about what the goal of heritage preservation is. It's one of the best preserved collections of Victorian industrial architecture in North America. The Goodham and Worth Distillery was founded in 1832 and provided over 2 million US gallons of whiskey, mostly for export on the world market. The company was later bought out in later years by rival Hiram Walker Co., another very large Canadian distiller. The 1832 Goodham and Worth Distillery was restored and revitalized in 2003 to create a pedestrian-only mini village of cobblestone streets and brick buildings that are housing restaurants, shops, galleries, and theaters. The design incorporates the original Victorian industrial architecture filled with restored Victorian-era factories that now house contemporary galleries, pubs, and restaurants. This is actually where the Christmas market, the Distillery Winter Village, is hosted every year. But it also hosts other festivals throughout the year. The district has been designated as a Canada National Historic Site. Corktown is one of Toronto's oldest neighborhoods, and you'll find historic sites on almost every block. Although I must say it was a little bit difficult for me to figure out where the boundaries of these particular neighborhoods are. Corktown was named after its first Irish residents from County Cork, and it has Irish immigrants' roots going back to the 1840s. There's currently an ongoing transformation of the area that is driven by the Canary District development. The Canary District, right next to Corktown, was built on the site of the 2015 Pan Am Games Athletes Village. 6 initial buildings initially served as the 2015 Pan American Games Athletes Village. Then those buildings were then finished and converted to private residence. And now, even more buildings have been constructed for private residents, with front streets lined with stores, businesses, and restaurants. But I'm not very sure if to consider Corktown as a separate neighborhood and Canary District as a separate neighborhood. The name of this neighborhood comes from the Irish and English immigrants who were so poor that they grew cabbages in their front yards because they couldn't afford anything else. Today, there are no more cabbages in the front yards, but the homes still retain their Victorian-era character. The kind of person that would like this area is someone that likes Victorian homes, quiet wells, and heritage buildings. There's currently a huge effort to preserve the heritage nature of this area, and it's often cited as the largest continuous area of preserved Victorian housing in North America. Since the 1970s, Cabbagetown has experienced a cultural and economic explosion, and it has become one of the city's most gentrified quarters. So in terms of economics, it's one former low-income community that is now facing the effects of gentrification. garden sits on the Cabbagetown border. It's a public park and a conservatory that also houses a Victorian-era greenhouse. The park occupies roughly one city block and is bounded by Carlton Street to the north, Sherborne Street to the east, Gerrard Street to the south, and Jarvis Street to the west. The park originated from lands that were donated to the Toronto Horticultural Society by George William Allen in 1858, with the Horticultural Society officially opening the gardens there in 1860. The indoor botanical garden has 6 greenhouses comprising over 16,000 square feet. And inside the indoor conservatory, you'll find colorful plants and flowers from around the world. It's a fantastic place to check out. Church-Wellesley Village, or Toronto Gate Village, or the Village as it's commonly referred to, is one neighborhood that didn't happen organically. It was built deliberately through community organization, political advocacy, and decades of concentrated efforts. The economic story here is about what intentional placemaking actually produces when a community decides a place needs to exist and makes it happen. The village is one of the most established 2L LGBTQ+ commercial and residential corridors in North America, and it was built deliberately over several decades into a self-sustaining neighborhood economy. This square district offers many daytime and nighttime entertainments with lineup of clubs, restaurants, and also hosts a number of performing arts and events like the Pride Turner. Up north from Union Station along Yonge Street will bring us into downtown Yonge, one of the busiest pedestrian districts in Canada. The kind of person in the friend group that would enjoy this place is the social butterfly that is always busy, always shopping, always has somewhere to be. In terms of economics, it's the retail, entertainment, and transit economy of Toronto. Now, if Bay Street is where Toronto goes to work, Yonge Street is where Toronto comes to shop, eat, meet friends, and be entertained. This neighborhood is the city's primary retail and commercial corridor, drawing millions of visitors each year. The defining landmark here is the Toronto Eating Centre, Canada's busiest shopping mall and one of the country's highest grossing retail destinations. Since the opening in 1977, the Eating Centre has transformed the stretch of downtown into Toronto's premier shopping district. and it remains anchored by more than 200 stores spread across multiple levels. Just outside of the eating center is Yonge Dundas Square. It's one of Toronto's busiest public gathering spaces, known for concerts, festivals, public events, and its large digital billboards. I think the more recent name now is Sankofa Square, but honestly, I don't think anyone is calling it that yet. I like to refer to it as the Times Square of Toronto. And much like the Times Square in New York, the intersection of Yonge and Dundas has become a symbol of Toronto's commercial and entertainment districts, although on a much smaller scale. The neighborhood is also home to the historic Elgin and Winter Garden Theatres, Mercy Hall, and the Ed Meavish Theatre. Nearly every major subway line, streetcar route, and pedestrian corridor converges within a few blocks, making downtown Yonge one of the city's most accessible districts. Unlike the financial district that would become quieter after office hours, downtown Yonge remains active from morning until very late at night. The economics of this neighborhood is driven by constant foot traffic. The retailers, restaurants, entertainment venues, public spaces, they all depend on the millions of people that pass through every year. Yorkville, one of Canada's wealthiest micro-markets, is a luxury retail corridor that built itself on the bones of a 1960s counterculture neighborhood. Yorkville initially was Toronto's 8th Ashbury. In the 1960s, this was Toronto's bohemian quarter. Folk music, coffee houses, artists. By the 1980s, every single one of them had been replaced by a designer boutique store. The dazzling spread of high-priced stores stocked with designer clothes, fur, and jewels, along with the restaurants, galleries, and the specialty boutique stores, is the signal that you are now in the Bloor-Yorkville corridor. The economics of this neighborhood is a practical example about how quickly a neighborhood's identity can be completely overwritten when enough money arrives. What gets preserved and what gets erased in that process. Bloor Street and Yonge Street are the major intersection of this neighborhood, with the Royal Ontario Museum anchoring the western end. The kind of person in the friend group that you'll find here is that trust fund friend that wears designer clothes and lives in a luxury condo or mansion nearby. Now, this is only just the beginning. In the next episode, we are going into more neighborhoods to examine their key identities and the histories that have shaped them. If you're not yet subscribed, please do, and click the notification button so you don't miss out on the next video. If you enjoyed learning about the Harbourfront and the downtown core, you enjoy my deep dive into the Toronto Islands. It's part historic, part economics, and explains why this incredible piece of waterfront looks the way it does today. Thanks for watching, and see you soon.